Well, it is an unfortunate truth that, yeah, there was quite a bit of legal problems.
Jim has the voice spot on, but he also has some information that is misinterpreted and incorrect. A lot of it's correct, but some of it's incorrect, and there's some missing points, and that's why I'm here. I'm going to tell you all about them. Colonel Sanders' first wife was Josephine King, who helped open the Sanders Cafe. That first, when they were working at the Shell station in Nicholasville, Kentucky, it was Josephine King and him. They shut that down in 1929 and then opened the one at the Pure and Oil station in Corbin, Kentucky, just off the highway. Josephine didn't know how to cook, so Uncle Harley started instructing her how to cook, and they started doing food out of the Sanders Cafe. Then he met Claudia, divorced Josephine, married Claudia. Claudia took over mixing spices and cooking. She knew how to cook. And before anybody says anything, no, she did not create the Kentucky Fried Chicken recipe. She helped mix the Kentucky Fried Chicken recipe. The Claudia Sanders dinner house was made as the Colonel's Lady originally. Uncle Harley's face wasn't really used on it as far as I know. I just know his name, The Colonel, was on it, and KFC sued him for that. Hugh Blind was in charge of the company at the time. And he wanted to see just how much of his name and image they owned, so he countersued them. Now, the recipe never changed. That goes against everything anyone else has ever said. I never found it that it changed. Just the supplier changed, and the stuff is fried in has changed, the cooking time has changed, the flour has changed, but the recipe stayed the same. The dinner house was renamed to the dinner house after the lawsuit. They settled, and he paid Uncle Harley another $1 million. Part of that settlement was that the restaurant name would change and he would sell ownership over. And he sold them to good friends of his, the Settles family, who run it today, and it's for sale today as well. And before anybody asked, no, I don't know the Settles family. I tried reaching out to them and I was ignored, and I had a representative contact me saying that they're not interested in the history or to talk about any of the other stories or rumors that are circulating that restaurant. All I can tell you is what I know about that. The Settles family owns it. It was the Colonel's Lady. It burnt down. The Settles family rebuilt it, and the Claudia Sanders Dinner House now serves all the original sides the Sanders Cafe used to serve, all the original food that the Claudia Sanders Dinner House served. They do not serve Kentucky Fried Chicken seasoning. They serve 99X or a version of it called Chicken Seasoning Plus. No, Claudia didn't make that. That was Uncle Harley and Bill Summers. But people have coined Claudia's as it being her recipe because it's served at the Claudia Sanders Dinner House. It was never franchised. It was just supposed to be a mom and pop shop. And that was made in the former Shelbyville Kentucky Fried Chicken headquarters, because that's where he used to live. In the contract that Uncle Harley signed when he sold over to Governor John Y. Brown Jr. and Jack C. Massey, it stated that they could not change his recipe and they must maintain his quality. That was in the contract, which is why he also countersued. He did not have to sue Governor John Y. Brown Jr. or Jack C. Massey, but he was heavily critical of the food and the quality. He accused them of changing the recipe. He wanted 99X to be the supplied recipe, or not 99X, my bad. Mary Kay Spices to be the supplier, but they denied that, had Sexton and Stange at the time taking care of it. But because of all that, Uncle Harley threatened to go onto Johnny Carson and tell people how bad the food was becoming. So what happened? Jack C. Massey resigned. They moved Kentucky Fried Chicken headquarters to Tennessee, moved them back to Kentucky after Uncle Harley threatened that. And John Y. Brown Jr. gave Uncle Harley more control over the food and quality, and he was able to maintain his seasoning. It wasn't until after John Y. Brown Jr. sold to Hubline, a alcohol company. Speaking of which, Uncle Harley did not like alcohol. He did not like drinking. He did not like smoking. He was very much against that. Anyway, sold to a alcohol company, and they decided to sue their founder, and he countersued them for changing his recipe. He accused them of it. He decided to accuse them of using items he didn't approve of, such as extra crispy. He didn't like that idea, and other menu items he didn't approve of. He said it wasn't his food, his name shouldn't be on it, but he did sell his name and image over to the company when he sold it to John Y. Brown Jr. But that was his countersuit, and they decided to settle that. And when they settled that, he got paid $1 million. He had to sell the dinner house, they changed the name of the dinner house. He had to quit saying that they changed his recipe. They agreed to maintain his recipe. They agreed to maintain his quality. And he continued to do just that until he died. It wasn't until last year when the house went up for sale, the mansion and the restaurant went up for sale, that has been entertained about franchising the Claudia Sanders Dinner